What is going on, guys? It is Guns as always, and today we're going to talk about an update to competitive graphic settings. Now, these settings are for people that want the most amount of edge that they can get in a game of PUBG based on the graphic settings, because yes, there is some that still exists. So the first thing we're going to talk about is performance. We're not going to worry about performance. You can run whatever you want to run, whatever your machine can run. What I am going to talk about is the things that you need to change in order for a difference in look that will help you identify enemies at a distance. So first things first, things like screen scale, post-processing, textures, effects, and foliage are all completely performance based now. There's no difference in foliage anymore. Everyone sees the same amount of foliage. The difference is the texture on the foliage. So all of those are really just the difference in how your game looks or performance based. You don't need to worry about those in terms of having an actual visual advantage on your opponent. Now, motion blur. I say keep motion blur off, because if you have motion blur and you're turning, that will blur the image and possibly keep you from identifying targets that you otherwise may miss or not catch a glimpse of. That's my opinion on motion blur. If you prefer it, you can play with it on. The other two, there are three things here that we're going to talk about that do change how the game can look in a way that might affect your ability to play. So first off, view distance is the big one now. View distance, regardless of how powerful your machine is, must always be set to very low. Here's the reasoning. The game will always render a player at distance. Always render a player at distance, no matter what. It will not render the objects around the player, though. So, off to a certain distance, that is. It'll always render terrain and things like that to a certain level, and buildings and flat objects. What it won't render are things like bush twigs, things you can pass through, things like grass that they can hide in. So the lower you have this, the closer a person can be to you, and things like grass won't be rendered when you see them. Meaning you can shoot them without being impeded by grass or bushes or anything like that closer to you than you could if you had it on Ultra. If you have it on Ultra, then they could hide in grass at quite a distance away. So it's always important to have this on very low. Again, we've said foliage, textures, and effects. Those are performance based. Whatever makes your computer run best is what you run those on. Now, shadows. My opinion on this is you either run shadows on very low or low. Here's the reason why. We're currently on low. We'll put it on medium. We're going to apply watch to the left and right side here. And actually, yeah. So this is on medium. You see how much darker everything got? Now let's go back to low. See how much brighter everything got? So shadows make dark spots a lot darker and intensify shadows by quite a bit, and actually give shadows to other geometry that's normally not there. Because of this, it's always best to run shadows on low or very low. The difference between low and very low shadows are very pixelated. Low shadows aren't as pixelated, they're a bit more smoothed out, but it doesn't give shadows to a lot more of the other geometry. Now if we put it on something like Ultra, I just reset, go me. So if we put on something like Ultra and apply, you can see how much darker it is. You can see all the shadows everywhere. So it does look pretty, don't get me wrong. I've tried playing on it for a while, and it's definitely something you have to get used to over time. You could play with it, but it just leaves you at a bit of an advantage in terms of visibility. Now, anti-aliasing. You either run anti-aliasing on very low or Ultra. Here's why. Currently with anti-aliasing on Ultra, everything's nice and smoothed out. It's working pretty well here. I believe they use a form of FXAA. The problem with FXAA is that if it's not maxed out, on medium settings or somewhere in between, it kind of looks like there's a thin layer of smeared Vaseline or something like that on your screen around the edges of some terrain and some vehicles. That smeared effect can cause you to lose sight or not gain sight of certain enemies. So with very low, it's pretty much off. You can see there's a lot more pixelation on things like here on this AK on the end of the barrel, over here on these bars. Here on this column, you can see a lot more of the edges as they go down. And if we put that back onto Ultra, you can see there's much less. It's more smoothed out, and it's more smoothed out over here as well as over here. So Ultra or low, very low for anti-aliasing. Other than that, guys, not really anything else for you guys to do in terms of graphical setting. Those are the main things you need to worry about. Everything else is optional. Your FOV is optional, what you'd prefer that to be set at, you know, and it's all performance based. Anyway, guys, hope this helps you out. I am Guns. Like I said, this is the updated version because they have changed how things render in pubs now. So because of that, we do need to update this a little bit and let you guys know the differences in them. I'm Guns. I'm going to get out of here. I'll be streaming the beta live and, of course, the new update live over at Guns Games, twitch.tv/GUNZGAMES. Have a good day, everybody. GG.